The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derbies, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon and good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, episode 307. On deck, we're going to be spending a lot of time talking about the whirlwind trip that we took to the bustling metropolis of Arcadia, Florida. Excited to be on the air tonight. We're going to be talking with Jeremy Hein. He's waiting in the wings right now. We're going to talk with Ben LeVangie. Ben 10 got the Mad Dog Award in the compact side of things. I did, just for disclosure, before they kick us off the Kentucky Demolition Derby page, I did reach out to Mr. Pennick, and I didn't get a message back. So we shifted gears and got a hold of Ben. Ben did a great job on the compact side. We'll dive into that. Bo Lockwood's going to be on. We're going to talk with Mark Elliott. Couple of housekeeping things. We've got Jeremy Hein waiting in the wings right now. I took everyone's advice. Penny Shipe, Lindsey Remington, Steve Siopa, Kool-Aid, David LeJewitt. First thing I did when I got back to New York, I got a haircut. I decided against going with the Rob Hewer look and just shaving the sides. I tried the reverse and went down the middle first. It didn't look anything close to good. So as we are right here, great time down in Florida. It was like you said, kind of a whirlwind trip. I was silly and thought, hey, we're going to get in at 11 o'clock. We'll get a nice full night's sleep before we, get up and run through the event Saturday. And then we, plan on going right to the airport because that's how it always works on these shows, it seems like. And, we didn't get to our hotel until like 2. So it was a great time. Got to see so many of our friends. It was fun. Weather was, 70s and overcast. It was beautiful. As Chris and I are on the way to the show, driving along, and the local radio DJ said, "Yeah, it's it's going to be okay today, but it's going to get really cold tonight, and there's a chance of it hitting 40." And Chris and I, it was hilarious. I mean, at the same time, we both looked at each other like, 40? That's spring in New York, but it was great. Had a lot of fun. One thing I do want to hit on quick, I know we got Jeremy waiting, and I've touched on this before, track conditions. No, they weren't pristine. It wasn't the best track I've ever seen in my life. But that being said, the Siopas and JC Molly did everything in their power to make a great track. I wouldn't even want to guess what was spent trying to get that track together. It's better than it was 2 years ago when I was down there. And for so many people to just get on the internet and bash them for the track conditions, like any of those guys wanted it to happen, that it really annoys me. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, hey, great effort, nice job, it's just everybody knows better. And it's frustrating. We talked about it. It seems like we said it 4 or 5 times this weekend, how Demolition Derby tries to destroy itself. And that's, really an example of it. It's just frustrating. Great paying derby. They didn't say, hey, you guys couldn't run as hard, so we're taking half to pay away. They didn't do that. Happily signed checks. Every check and every dollar amount was paid. Everything went great. It was, a beautiful arena. But to see so many people just bashing it, it gets frustrating. Like I said, the guys that put it on, I'm sure they weren't happy with the track either, but they never stopped working. They had guys out there between heats. They did the best they could. I talked to Steve Siopa after the feature, and I said, hey, just an idea. I said, maybe next year, make your main class a super stock, because they did dig into the track worse or less. The team cars, I mean, they're basically, Blizzard Bash builds. I mean, you get a 7,500, 8,000 pound car,
on sand with high horsepower, low gears, it's going to dig. Just that was the only frustrating part. It was a good time working with Josh and Ben. Hadn't done that in I don't know how long, a couple of years. Mm-hmm. And it was right back, like we were doing it every night. Had a good time working with Skinny and Mike Tix. Good time. It was a good way to start the Derby season.
It was good to see Ben and Josh. We had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I think it was a lot of fun. Hopefully the people at home thought it was fun too.
Yeah.
I got some messages that this is why Josh doesn't want me on the show anymore, and I'm mean, and I'm not funny, and I'm terrible, blah, 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 blah. But I also saw some really cool messages. One gentleman, and I apologize, I'm blanking on his name, made a comment on Tori Schuette's thread that said he could be blind and watch the Derby with the way we were doing the play-by-play, which was...
That's not true. That's not what he said. Please put the camera on me and I'll tell you. What he said was he could be blind and listen to the Derby and hear Chris Marquardt announce it, and he could tell what was going on. That's honestly what it said. Chris is a little too he doesn't want to take the stuff he deserves, but that's what he said, because Chris is without a doubt the best play-by-play man in Demolition Derby. But it was great to be back with everybody. We had a lot of fun.
One of my favorite parts of the weekend was purely organic. It had no planning. There was no anything. One of the gentlemen chased me out of the stands, and it was Jason Draws, and we must have talked for 45 minutes to an hour about everything under the sun, like all kinds of Derby stuff. And he told me a story that bothered me, and this is going way back, that I didn't remember even having happened. And he said, hey, what are you up to, Rockstar? When we met at one of the Cass in the Valley shows back when it was still in Woodstock at the Shenandoah County Fairgrounds. And he said that I turned and walked away. And I probably did, because in my mind, which happens frequently, is one, people have me confused with being Decker. or it's just like they're just goofing around or whatever, and I'd walked away, and it left him with an impression that I was a real jerk, and I wanted to apologize for that. I try not to be a jerk to anybody unless of course the internet failed just as Melanie Hansen was starting the national anthem, and we had to get it back before she finished the national anthem, and then I'm a jerk to everybody that I know. But that's just because we had to fix that. Mm-hmm. But it was a great organic conversation with somebody who I never really was aware that I had met before. Mm-hmm. And man, we covered a ton of topics. It was really a lot of fun, and that's something I'll remember for a long time. And through the course of the night, we had a guy message in who just out of nowhere told us that the best episode of the Crash Course was when Mike Brown and Rick Engelhart was going back and forth.
Really?
Just in the middle of the Derby.
That's awesome.
It was That's really awesome. Cool. Yep. It was strange timing. I was thinking to myself, what would he think about after all of the stuff that everybody's been through, that the four of us are sitting at the table again, and that message came through my phone. It was very cool.
Yeah, that's one of those signs. That really is one of those signs. I didn't even know about that.
I'd forgotten to tell you about it when it happened, and then on the way home we were talking about so much other stuff. I was just scrolling through messages, seeing who I forgot.
That's cool.
Because we did miss some people. I thought we caught Jamie and Mike Davis on King Road right about the same time we were talking about Tom Bell.
Yeah.
And I'm afraid I don't remember if we did say hi to them, but they were religiously tuned in and everything.
Yeah, I thought we did too, but maybe not.
Going a little bit long here, and we got to dial it back. Jeremy Heinen is waiting in the wings. Jeremy Heinen drove with Kane Johnson on Team Postal Mopar to come up with the win this weekend down in the Southern Nationals. Other winners on the night included Bo Lockwood. We're going to be talking with Bo in a little bit. Steven Sickles, what a run he had, coming up with a win in that one, and then Travis Pennick coming up with a win in the compact side of things. I think that covers all of our winners, but Jeremy's on the line now to hang out with us. Jeremy, man, congratulations. What a run.
Hey, thanks.
Tell us a little bit about the challenge that you went through to pick up this win. You guys had some leftover stuff that you brought down, and it turned into at one point it was 3-on-2, and then it was 2-on-1. and you were getting chased around pretty good by Barry Passmore Jr. and the Taylor fella. Take us through the last little bit.
Yeah, I was just trying to stay away from the walls and try to stay kind of tight with them so they couldn't bury me, or I'd bury myself or get stuck in the wall and both of them get me penned in or something. But kind of through the heat, about got rolled over and then got to the feature and kind of had a feel for the track, so it all worked out.
Did you do a tire change before you went out for the main?
Well, actually, we had these small they were forklift tires, and we never ran them before. Seen guys run them out Blizzard Bash, and we thought kind of the width of them, I don't know, they ain't very tall, but we weren't sure how the track conditions were going to be, so we brought some taller tires. And before we actually were coming out of an inspection, and I buried my car.
Oh,
so
boy.
that was kind of, before we even started the Derby, I got stuck and they had to bump me out of the skid loader, so I thought we probably ought to get them raised up and do some changes there. So
we saw a lot of guys change tires and basically go to the Jeep style tires, and they put them on the back, and that helped quite a bit. And we got some answers today. I talked to somebody who's got some time invested in concrete, sand, earth, and gravel, and the ash was kind of as we projected off air that it was like a different name for Portland. It was fly ash.
Oh, okay.
Which we heard that term when we were in Kansas.
Yes, we did.
So the goal of that was to put a hard base underneath it, and the example was the loader, the excavator, could go around on that surface and not sink because you've got a larger footprint and less wheel spin. When you've got a smaller, especially narrower footprint with a more aggressive tread and far higher revolutions, it's going to be easy to dig yourself, and you got to adjust for that. And you had your hands full. Postal Mopar was able to get up on the back of Jason Brzezinski's wagon, and he sat there. He didn't touch the throttle because he knew that he would sink, and eventually got his back wheels up off the ground, and that got him sunk. That allowed you guys to focus on the makeshift team of 2 or 3 with a couple of the old school guys and the youngsters. And take us through what it was like for the team pairing of you and Kane trying to battle that stuff out. I mean, beyond just trying to battle the track, you did have to eliminate 2 other guys in order to take that win.
Right, yeah. Once it kind of came down to it, I thought, man, this is going to turn out perfect. Me and Kane kind of walking through them there at the end. We were working together good as a team. And then once I looked back and seen sparks flying under his car, and I went down and bumped him one time and realized that wasn't no help. So I thought at first he was buried or something, and then realized I was on my own. So it was kind of a chess game there, yeah.
Yeah, we could.
I really wanted to, he wanted to turn it up, but if you kind of get yourself in a bad spot, spin your tires, or hit one guy and the other one's holding back, so I just tried to stay between them and give myself room to get out in case one got buried kind of there at the end, so worked out.
Yeah, from our vantage point, we could see smoke starting on Kane's car, but we couldn't. We didn't see the sparks underneath it, obviously. And
when you shut it off, it got cloudy.
Yeah. When he shut it off and got out, there was instant smoke then. But Jeremy, I just wanted to comment. You really did a great job of driving. You didn't make any mistakes when it came down to you against those 2. I kind of attributed it. We've seen you run a bunch of times at Bash for Cash, and always there at the end. That's that. And I said that on the air. I said, this is a lot of experience from Bash for Cash, because with running against guys like the Bronze and the Siopas when they're there, and everybody else, you can't make mistakes.
And
you really didn't.
Better for sure.
How happy were you when you started seeing you were peeling the frame and springs back on the one Sedagon?
Yeah, it was making me nervous there for a while. I kept trying to get in position so he wasn't going to go underneath me, and then I realized when he did bump me, I was low enough, which we try to keep him so we're not sitting crazy high just because of that. And then when I seen I was hitting it and rolling his leaves off there, I was like, oh, this is kind of working out, but I didn't want to hit him too hard where I bounce up on him and get stuck or something too, So it was kind of a fine line of picking that same corner, and hopefully I can get something tore off there.
Yeah, you did a really nice job. It was surgical precision. You were doing that. Something else I noticed is that you and Kane both took some big shots on your front end, and you guys never lost. You didn't lose an A-frame. You didn't lose ball joints. You guys had a nice setup working.
Thank you. Yeah, that's years and years of figuring out that caddy suspension for sure. So there's A lot of little things that go into it, and that's obviously the weak point on the Cadillac. So just got her finally dialed in after years of going to bash and watching them fall apart. So
trial and error. Like I said, I was very impressed with that. I mean, you guys, there was a couple of times you guys both took big shots, and I'm like, man, that's going to be not good. And even with the Sedagans that were low, they got some just direct tire shots, and it wasn't it didn't get softened by hitting the body or anything else, and held together nice. I mean, you guys definitely built real good cars. It was very impressive.
Yeah, them rear ends are nasty on a couple of them.
Yeah,
I just definitely watch out for them.
Yeah, I didn't bring that up on air, but I wonder. I mean, are guys going to start doing that with wagons fresh, or is that something to where where they're you're gonna have to run it once or twice, and then because I mean,
well, that's kind of depending on what guys are wanting to do with the rules here and there, as far as either no wedge cars or if every car's going to shove the derby with their ass in on the ground so they can feel steering. Because in the modifieds, that's pretty much the only thing you can. The only way to take people out, other than trying to outlast them in their drivetrain. So
yeah, and that's the thing. I mean, you look at a show like Bash for Cash or Blizzard Bash, where you have basically a day to rebuild your car between the last run and the feature. I mean, you could do concentrate a lot of 3-4 guys working on the back end of a car. You could build one of those.
Sit her on the ground and start feeling tires off for sure, yeah. I
mean, are they going to be allowed to do that? That's going to be something that's going to come up, because I mean, think about it.
Yeah, that'll be the next thing in derbies for sure, depending on if that's going to be allowed or. I mean, it's kind of, you see the turkey derby cars and stuff like that. Everyone that's not sitting on the ground is getting lifted up, and then the guys that are can feel steering. So
yeah,
definitely the way to go.
And that's, I mean, think how quick that's come about. I mean,
right. Yeah.
Brodzinski did it with his wagon after Blizzard Bash, and then there was 4, 5, 6 of them there Saturday.
Yep.
Yeah, it was a significant number of them that were fresh, and there were some oddball things happening with them. Otherwise, with the
Ford clips on them. And
it was crazy. Some weird stuff.
Yeah,
pretty interesting. Yeah.
No, it was like I said. I thought it was a great show. You guys did a great job. Caddies were tough. It was neat to watch.
I liked the circling job that you did in order to make sure that you kept getting position. I know you can laugh at it, and I don't want to open up the chicken and the egg argument of strategy versus deteriorating track conditions, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you can pick your side and stay on it, and I'm not going to talk you out of it once you're there. It is what it is. But knowing that there were parts of the track that were better versus worse, you continue to drive around and use that to your advantage, and it ultimately led to the opportunity to get Passmore Jr. stuck.
Right.
And then from there you're able to chase around the number 64, and it ended up leading to the win.
Right. Yeah. First, I wasn't sure about driving through there. Then that wagon kept going through, and I was like, well, I guess I'll follow him so he don't get a big run on me. And his buddy was stuck there when it came down to us two, and I think their beadlocks kind of fell apart or something where they lost some extra traction on the rear end. And as the feature went on, we were kind of working to one side, and I'm thinking, man, I probably should not try to make a rut here and move around. I was looking on the other side to see how I was looking over there, and the whole track was similar to getting tore up. So I don't think there was a spot better than the next one. So.
I mean, Jeremy won the Arcadia 500 and the Southern Shootout.
Yeah, he did. He did a very nice job. Very nice. But I mean, that's kind of what he had to do. I mean, he had to keep moving because, like he said, when it's 2-on-1, you hit one guy, and where's the other one going to be? He's Right. And I was also impressed with the way the back of your wagon or back of your caddy folded up. I mean, that was about perfect. They weren't going to get through to the rear end very easily on that. So.
Yeah. And that was the thing too. Is then we didn't want to be sitting that high. Going into the heat, but if I didn't change my tires and got buried right away, then what do you got there? So kind of take the good and the bad.
Yeah, right. I mean, you got to make it to the feature to win the feature. So
did it cross your mind at all to soften the suspension? So many of those cars out there looked like the suspensions were just locked right down, and by opening the suspension up, it let the car float a little bit more.
Yeah, it definitely would have helped. Yeah, we got everything tied together so good that and shoved in that it'd take a lot of work to get them to be freed up enough that you'd trust it. But yeah, it definitely would help for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's one thing I thought too, is that it would take so much work, because I mean the way the suspensions are built and tied in, it would take a ton, and it would hurt I think it would hurt the car as much as or more than help.
You're not gaining. You're not gaining what you got. As if we may quote Jeffy Showman, the juice wouldn't be worth the squeeze.
Gotcha. That is true. That is very true. That is very true.
Yeah. Well, I know your summer plans aren't quite fleshed out yet, but it's got to be nice to have a little bit of momentum this early going into 2020. Winning typically begets winning.
Yeah, we looked at that point series earlier today, and I went through some different tracks there, and I think we're going to try to kind of go along and run some of them. I think we might be able to. I don't know how many of the guys are actually going to be able to run each one, but there's a lot of them that are pretty close to us, so we'll see how that goes.
Awesome.
Very cool.
We got Mark Elliott coming on later on. He has finalized the schedule. The schedule editions were closed at midnight going into the Southern Nationals. We were still in the air at that point when the gates closed. So the final schedule now has 30 dates on it.
Wow.
Sweet. So let's say somebody runs 6 times, right? They find a little bit of success. You could win that championship by running a fifth of the series. Mm-hmm. And I think that's a reasonable number.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you get a bunch of top threes, or a string of wins, and a couple top threes besides. It's definitely doable.
It's very much doable. Yep. Well, we've already run over a little bit. We took a little bit too long with the Open. But Jeremy, again, congratulations on the win to you and Kane. I'm sure Postal Mopar was happy to see the victory lane pictures.
Thanks, sir. Yeah, next thing we need to try to do is get out to Vegas, so see if we can get invited out there. But I know they're doing the qualifying deal now, but that'd be a fun place to be for sure.
It would be. You guys would probably do pretty well at Main Mania as well. 2-man team show out there.
There you go. Yeah,
definitely.
Sure.
Another place. Depends on how you feel about hauling over the Rocky Mountains.
All right, well, thanks, guys.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, man. Thank you. We'll talk to you soon.
We'll see you. Bye.
There goes Jeremy Hein picking up a win in the team side for the Team Postal Mopar, and running with Kane Johnson. You remember dirt modified circles around here, right? Mm-hmm. I am having such a hard time saying Kane Johnson because I keep wanting to say Kane Bristol. Mark Bristol's kid, Kane, that runs the Sportsman cars. Mm-hmm. I'm trying very hard not to mess it up.
You mentioned Jeff Schumann from Jeffy's Fab Farm. Got a chance to hang out and talk with him for a few minutes. That was a good time. Jeffy's always fun to talk to.
And Brett.
Yep, and Brett and Jake came over and was going to run us over with his truck, and we were going Facebook Live, which is always great. It was a good time.
He said he just wanted to make us muddy. I was sure he was trying to back over it. Gravedigger.
I thought he had.
Hey Ben, it's Chris. Let me put you in.
I thought he had it turned up with the thing, and he was going to diesel us. Is what I thought he was going to do. You and I were both thinking either way it wouldn't have been good.
Yeah, so. we knew bad stuff was forthcoming.
Yeah, Brett was laughing, so it wasn't going to be good.
Bad news was coming. Yes, the puns don't end. Ben LeVangie joining us on the phone. Ben 10 coming up with the Mad Dog Award, the Mass Holes as a collection. We're doing a great job out there. Jared Skillings, Chris Woodworth, and yourself, Ben. Man, congratulations! It's got to feel good to take the Mad Dog Award home from Florida.
Yes, thank you very much. It did, take something home's, with the class of build down there. It's, it's pretty impressive. So we'll take anything we can get.
You definitely looked like you were having fun. I was very impressed with the show you put on.
Thank you. I was just trying to pick pick the shots good. Go for axles. That's about the only thing you can do. It doesn't usually do too much going nose to nose with them. So just try to take out axles and raise struts and slow them down and pick your shots. Don't waste any shots. That's the biggest thing.
What ended up happening to the car?
I think it just eventually got hot, and I went to restart it, and I mean the front K members into the motor pretty good. So I don't know if it got a starter wire too, because it didn't want to restart. So.
Well, it was a lot of fun to watch that. And
definitely.
You got a lot of experience already piled up just this year. Not to mention all the running that you've done back home. You've got Ron McClung caliber mileage on. You guys were out in Vegas already, and now we turn around and we see you in Florida. How much traveling do you plan on doing through the course of 2020?
Probably going to stay local for the rest. I don't think we're going to go to Vegas in the spring this year. We went, the first year, just something cool, different. The first one, I said, yeah, we're going to be there, but I don't think I'm going to do that this year in the spring. And then probably just stay more local, do mini Meltdown, maybe do San Filippo in the fall, but probably not going to go too far this year. So, but we'll see. You never know. I always say that, and then all of a sudden, oh, okay, the week before, no, we're going to go to that one. So.
How many hours was it for you to tow from your place to Vegas?
Vegas was 52. Me and my father went 52 hours, straight, just stopping for fuel and pee breaks. That was about it. So
what?
52 hours one way.
That is insane. That's two straight days of driving. Oh, yes. My gosh.
With those stops. Man.
Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy. So driving to Florida, that was like, going to the gas station for you. That wasn't even a big deal buzzing down there.
Oh, it was. Between that and having three drivers, exactly. You did a tank of fuel, 4 hours, 6 hours or whatever, and that was it. It's like, okay, what's this?
That's crazy.
What'd you think of the experience with the Southern Showdown?
Pretty good. Like I said, we've been down there. This is my third year. Last year I flew down and built the car at the track. On Saturday, the year before, I towed another compact down. No, I mean, good run show. I thought the venue was really good. Even, the compacts don't really seem to have too much of an issue no matter where we go because they're so light.
Right.
Not really have an issue digging. But, even for the big cars, in my opinion, it wasn't terrible. I think, you still gotta drive the car no matter what. You can't just plant the throttle all the time. Sometimes you got to be able to drive it and think about it and, okay, wait to get back to the throttle. I think they could, do a little bit more of that track and it'd be a real good place to be,
Sure.
Next year or the years to come. I think that's maybe the place to stay at if they can get the track a little bit stiffer. But overall, I thought it was pretty good.
And there's things that we don't know. I mean, we don't know if there's limited because that's a rodeo arena. If they're limited on what they can do in terms of the sand and the clay mix and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We don't know how wet the layer of Georgia clay, as they called it, in the middle, how wet that was when it went in. I think a little bit of water on the sand probably would have helped it if they would have kept putting it to it. But then the risk is if you get the clay underneath too muddy, that's just going to compress. Did we talk about the bicycle on the beach yet?
Yeah, you mentioned that in the opening.
Yeah, I mean that's if you think about the logic of that, and then build from there. I think you can probably start figuring out a way to make it work. But the issue is how fast the water is going to filter through the sand.
Yeah,
you got to find a way to stop that.
Yeah, but I mean, like we mentioned, it was everybody had to run on the same track. So,
the compacts.
Yeah,
the compacts did a nice job of getting around. They were able to pull themselves out. We joked that some of the big cars actually were driving like forklifts.
Yeah,
they were driving in reverse on purpose, pulling themselves through and using the rear steer.
Yeah.
And there was a bunch of drivers, and Jason Brodzinski was one of them that we discussed on the air. Was they would make a hit and they would wait.
Yep.
And wait for somebody else to hit them, and instead of getting themselves dug or sunk, they would wait until they used that momentum, whichever way they were going, they got out. Ben took a little bit different strategy and made sure that when he hit somebody, he drove through them.
Yeah, exactly.
Just drive right through them and turn around and go the other way.
Absolutely.
Which we're kind of used to that out of Ben anyway. Have you slowed down any in your years since we've been out to Brockton ourselves? It doesn't seem like your driving strategy has changed a whole lot. It's just strike first and you won't be killed.
Well, exactly. That's what especially down there. It's like I didn't want to drive 24 hours to sit in the corner and try to bag a bit and wait for a few cars to get out, and all of a sudden somebody sneak around, get my front tire and fold it over, and now I just drove all that way and made 2 shots, and my car's junk, So I said, at least if I'm moving, hitting them, they can't be hitting me, and and that seemed to work out pretty good, the last couple of years, and it worked out again, for me this year. So, just stay with what works, I guess.
Is it more rewarding for you? Are you one of those drivers that's more rewarding to come home with the most aggressive driver award compared to a win?
Well, I mean, it all depends. Like I said, I got that out in Vegas last year too, and I got it out at Mini Meltdown one year and in one of the heats. And it's like, to me, I'm not going to say a bagger. Some people might say it. It all depends. I try to drive smart and look at it. You got to be around at the end to get the big money. So that's kind of how I look at it. I want to try to be around at the end and try to have a chance to be at the at the big money towards the end. But sometimes you just have to open it up and be more aggressive. But half the time it seems like when I do that, I do get down to the end, and you turn around and you chase a couple people. Then all of a sudden you look around. Okay, there's only 1 and 2 guys left instead of 10. So it I enjoy doing both. I like being aggressive and and being the aggressive, but at the same time I like being around at the end and taking home the big trophy. So kind of depends, but
I mean, obviously,
Certainly fun to watch.
Oh, absolutely, definitely fun to watch. But I mean, obviously, you're pretty adept at building the compact stuff, because I mean, you were driving very hard and your car was holding up. It's not like you were hurting yourself every time you made a shot. I mean, you were the car build and picking the right shots. I mean, definitely did a nice job on both of those.
Yeah, thank you. It just like I said, I try to stick with either the Camrys. I'm more like the Camrys. My father likes the Luminas, but I just try to stick to what I know. In every race, okay, well, I've been here this time, or you welded plates here because you can. Now I've been here, and you didn't like that. So every time you learn and you build on it, and you get better. So at least I know what the Camrys more times than not are gonna do, and a lot of people run the simplified harnesses and stuff like that, and honestly, I've seen a lot of them have more problems than just running stock. So I tend to just run the stock wiring, and if that hurts me and only gets me to third sometimes instead of the wind, I'd rather take the chance than having the. I've seen a bunch of people it start running bad or not running good, in my opinion. So I'd rather take the chance and just run it stock, and it gets me what it gets me.
Yeah, I know a few guys around that feel the same way. That'll they'll move they'll leave stuff stock and move what has to be moved, because I mean obviously the car manufacturer builds it that way for a reason. That's why they use the stuff they use. So I mean, if you can move some of the stuff and keep
if that's the case, why aren't Vicks tilted from the factory?
I think it'd wear the tires out on the front end. I don't know that the suspension would hold up as well. Plus, in order to make a Vic good, you have to run all the protectors. You put another 1,000, 1,500 pounds on the front end, and it would just get ugly. But I mean, I know guys that even with some of the full size cars, some guys I know that run a lot, but they don't do the motor swaps and all that stuff. They've moved on the Fords, you move the whatchamacallits, those, and just get everything to a more safe spot and just run it, because he's right. A lot of times you start pulling everything apart and putting stuff in that's been spliced together or whatever. It's it's something else that can go wrong. So a lot of guys leave the way it was and go from there.
It certainly seemed like a
I mean, you look at Ron McClung there, all the way from Canada. I'm pretty sure, I know he usually runs the 4.6s pretty stock, like you said, moved a couple things and just, but he usually, I think, runs more pretty stock on that, and he usually, gets a pretty good ride out of his stuff, as many as ones that I've seen him drive in. So.
Oh, absolutely. Rodney would definitely be the poster boy for that.
Yes.
He gets the most out of his equipment.
Yeah. He frequently brings butter knives to gunfights and runs it deep.
Oh yeah,
every time.
Yeah, definitely.
He got caught against the blocks in the super stock heat, and they ruined the back of the Ford that he had. But he got out smiling. He was one of the first people to catch up with Bo.
Yeah, definitely. But
Ben, you going to be running the Northeast Championship again this summer?
Probably, yeah. I mean, seeing it's only about 10 minutes away, you know, from where we live, our shop, and you know, it's $10,000 to win, and you can win it. You know, you get a better chance in it. You know, to run that one, you get as good a chance to win in a Camry as you do as anything else. So most likely we'll be there. Yeah, I'm sure.
Awesome. It's a good show. You got to get through Chris Woodworth to do it, though. 3-time champion. He was down there with Jared Skillings.
Yep.
Mass Holes representing well. And listen to that accent. You know that if that track was terrible, he would have already told us.
Yeah, no doubt.
Right?
Yeah, no, exactly. Like I said, I mean, it's definitely, you know, been down there for 3 years now. I think it's the best track they've been at. Like I said, if they can, you know, I don't know how much they're allowed to do with the track. Yeah, you know, I think maybe after this year, it's okay, well, you got a good crowd and stuff. We'll let you do a little bit more, bring a little more dirt in or whatnot. And, you know, I think it's a real good, I mean, the track, I liked it because it was, you know, fully lit. You know, it was like daytime in there. You could see everything. But, you know, the only thing I would have really changed is, you know, maybe start at about 3 in the afternoon, you know, because, I mean, what time do the feature get over? Almost 1 o'clock in the morning. It's like, you know, to me, it's like, you know, 3 to 6. I don't think you're going to get that many different people, you know, in the stands or anything, in my opinion. But, you know, we'll see what happens. But that's about the only thing that sinks, because you get loaded. I mean, we didn't get back to our hotel till 4 in the morning.
Right.
So,
it's made for a long night. Nonetheless, came home with some Mad Dog hardware. Congratulations on that, and we look forward to catching up with you here as the summer goes on. We wish you the best of luck in Brockton if we don't see you before.
Yeah, no, we appreciate it. Like I said, we you know, had a good run, which, you know, the team assholes there, Jared Skilling, you know, Danny Gill, we all kind of, you know, went down and just said, all right, let's see what we can do here. And you know, Chris and Jared, you know, we were pretty underbuilt, and you know, we wound up putting a head gasket in. Well, one side we beat ourselves. Had to put a head gasket in Wednesday and put a new head and head gasket Wednesday night on Chris Woodworth's car, and then we get down there and the other side let go. We should have known better and done both. So we get down there Friday. We had the head all apart, and went to a speed shop, and they helped us fix it up Friday. Literally 24 hours before the Derby, we got the motor half apart in Florida on the trailer, and you know, then Jared's car, literally right before he went out, the axle started sliding out. So that's why they got pushed back a heat. We were running around. We got it back in, luckily, and everything went back together and didn't break. But it's like, gee, you know, come on, when are we going to get a break here? So,
right. Right.
That's crazy.
But, you know, like I said, they got a good show, good run. You know, they're happy. It's all, you know, it's, you know, coming down, and never really, you know, Chris did it last year with Chuck Bucknam, but besides that, I mean, they haven't really done that to some of these guys that have been doing it for 10, 15 years like this. You know, if they can make the feature, I know they were thrilled just to make the feature, so
sure.
They were happy.
I saw Chuck there. Was he running, or was he just helping you guys out?
No, he just flew down for Saturday morning there to kind of, you know, help us, and
Sure.
you know, every little bit you can get help. Some, you know, we only got a couple hours to fix stuff, and he just came to help and, you know, watch the show. So
that's cool. I'd seen Chuck run a bunch, and I'd never met him. And I was standing there talking to Todd Sahopa, and he walked by, and Todd introduced us. And good dude and good driver. I was, you know, like I said, I'd said something to Chris about him being there, but I know he hadn't been here. I didn't think we'd seen him on track.
yeah, no, I mean, Chucky, and you know, he's a really great guy. You know, he's run a lot of shows where, you know, that family's been doing derby since beginning of derbies, honestly, and
oh, yeah.
up in the Northeast here, and you know, but he's, you know, well, you call him up any time of day, you know, he'll answer any questions he can, or, you know, he saw this guy do that once, and, you know, tell him, you know, he'll help you out, or, you know, get, you know, whatever you need. You know, that's one thing up here. It's nobody's, you know, everybody's willing to help everybody out. You know, I've given people pots, and they go ahead and beat me in a derby, and it's like, well, if I didn't give them that, I would have won, but then I would have felt like crap because,
Yeah.
you know, now the guy's, you know, running, and I have a pot in my truck. It's like, no, it's not. I'd rather beat you on the track than beat you in the pit. So
Exactly. For sure.
Well, I'm glad you made mention of those. I can't believe we got this far. Danny Gill, what a run he had. Cindy Reginald was out there, too. It was good to see her again down there. But Danny Gill, and it came down to a numbers game at that point. But he made a serious bid to win that thing. He had a great run.
Yep, no doubt.
We sure did. You know, like I said, we kind of just watched out for each other, you know, going out there. We said, all right, just kind of, you know, if you see each other stuck, at least, you know, just try to wave each other, try to at least help each other get unstuck and try to get down to the end. Because, I mean, you know, as normal, we were still, you know, more times than not, we are way underbuilt compared to most everybody else. And, you know, but, you know, we usually do pretty good. You know, we hold our own. It's maybe underbuilt, but, you know, we can drive too. So, you know, to me, you can build all you want, weld all you want, but if you can't drive it and don't know what to do with it, it's kind of useless. So I'd rather be underbuilt and know how to drive it and you know, like I said, wheel it on the track, I guess. You know, he was doing good, you know, doing circles at the end. He knew he couldn't really back up good, but he was hot, and the other two guys just had a lot more life left in that car before. You know, we said, you know, they were the only two we didn't get before. You know, we just ran out of car before. So.
Sure. Yep.
Well, Ben, man, I appreciate you coming on the show and hanging out with us for a little while. Keep in touch and let us know how things go in Brockton.
All right. Thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys.
Take
Have
care.
a good one.
That end was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
So Riley and Pennant going at it, and they backed up. Man, they ended it.
They jumped him. That's how you do it.
Right up.
Ben mentioned that something else we didn't say is I thought there was a damn good turnout for spectators at a first-year arena. I mean, that arena was big, probably, I'd say 5,000 range you could probably put in it. And I think there was probably 1,000, 1,500 people there, which I think is a real good, you know, real good turnout for the first time being there. So, you know, I only see bright things for the future of that show.
So I agree. Bo Lockwood joining us now. Bo's in the process still, I believe, towing home. Bo, how are you?
Hey, we're doing good. Thanks for having us on here. I think we're somewhere in South Carolina right now.
Did you sell the car yet?
No, I did not. I cannot believe I couldn't find somebody to buy this thing. No.
Quick question before we get out deeper into the Derby stuff. Do you still have the Super Late model?
I do not. I had the opportunity to run in the semi-lates this year, and last year, and we had some fun doing that. But
nice.
As far as ownership in the super late model world, I think my day of that's about over.
I just because I wanted to ask if you were such a believer now in the Imperials that instead of, you know, Camaro headlights or Monte Carlo headlights, we'd see Imperial grill stickers on the nose of that.
Well, you know, I was thinking, you know, it's usually when you name your sponsors and you put your make and behind that, it's usually a Chevy for me. But this year, and it's pretty cool to be able to say my Smith Metalworks Redline Derby Engine Mopar did a good job this weekend.
There you go. That sounds good.
Tell us about that
Absolutely.
run. I mean, it looked like you had a lot of fun out there.
You know, it was fun. Iron City Promotions, you know, everybody knows they're not exactly the oldest promoter in the business, and they're really doing a good job trying to put everything together. You know, the professionalism that they have, I would have given anything to have their crew, everything they put together. Mm-hmm. You know, when we had the Keystone Nationals, they really do a good job. You know, and you see the effort that they put into it. It just makes, you know, even the worst run more enjoyable. Right. But you know, our run, we did good. I know after last year, we ran down there in 19, and the track ended up beating me. I ended up stuck in the sand, and I promised that was never going to happen to me again. Mm-hmm. And we, you know, Chris Furster and I, we had a lot of conversations in the last couple months about, you know, what's the right tire choice. And,
right.
You know, what do you really do in that situation? And so I took two setups. I took a 14-inch, you know, somewhat of a Galaxy tread, which I had a pretty good idea I was never going to use. But we started the night with those. went through inspection and all that. And then after I watched the first couple heats, I got a text message from Firster and a couple other guys saying that, hey, we better swap them tires out. We had found a set of tires that were really wide, and to be honest with you, reminded me of our late model tires. They were, very big pads on them, and they looked like they had been grooved. Mm-hmm. So we put them on. They were 15 inches, and we went as far as we cut the entire rear end brace off the bottom of my rear end in the pits. So it was only going to give me another 3 inches of clearance, but hey, I really think that made the difference.
It certainly helped.
Yeah, we touched on that. The way the rear ends are built nowadays, there's so much bracing. There's next to no ground clearance. So I mean, you start losing tires, or the track starts getting soft, and that's it's not going to take long before your pumpkin's sitting on the track, and there you sit.
Trunnion.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what really scared me. I was watching everybody, and you could just see if there was any extra weight on your car at all when you got into the throttle, you were guaranteed to go to China. And that's something that we didn't want to do.
In your interview afterwards, you talked about patience and how if you wait and you're patient, good things will usually come. Patience was such a big part of all the guys that were successful down there. From Steven Sickles' win, he was hitting stuff, but he still had to pick his shots and he had to be smart about how he hit, make sure he got some room to get out. The top two and the compact feature, they were certainly cognizant of what was going on, and Jeremy, he had to be real particular about it. How difficult is it, one, to maintain that patience, and how long does it take as a driver to get to a point where you can recognize and find that patience and not get excited?
Well, I mean, I think anybody that knows me or follows me knows that I'm not the most aggressive driver in the world. So it definitely, my past has helped, with the patience. But you just had to. You could get on the throttle. I mean, you could really move around out there if you had the open space. But you had to pick and choose your shots. I had a really good friend and buddy that got hung up, and I knew I had one shot to get him off, and when I took it, I almost hung up myself. Mm-hmm. So you really have to kind of think to yourself that, hey, you got to be smart here, and taking shots that you knew that you were not going to hang yourself on somebody. So that took out bumper shots, that took out front end, rear end shots, anything like that. You just pretty much had to focus on front tires.
Yep. Yeah, he drove a long ways into that Cordoba. You'd had a hard time getting him loose on a pavement track. It took two loaders and some pulling and yanking to get those cars apart.
Yeah, in my opinion, and I really think that changed the whole pace of that Derby, because the noser that he had was built right, and I really do think he was going to send it on some people, and I really wish I could have saw that.
Yeah, it happened quick. There was a flurry, and then it kind of slowed down, and then it was. I mean, there were still guys making hard hits. It just wasn't. You weren't slamming from reverse to first and just standing on. I mean, guys were picking and choosing. But like you said, if you had a ways to run, you could get up speed and deliver the shot you wanted to. It's just that you couldn't take off spinning the tires and all that. Yeah,
absolutely. I'll tell you the raffle car. It was always, it was like that game changer. You didn't know who was going to win it. You all day long, you kind of prayed that a new driver would win it and then sink himself right off the bat. But I did, a couple people told me that there was somewhat of a veteran driver that won that car. So I kind of kept my eye on it, and that dude was lighting me up every chance he got. And it just got to the point where enough was enough. And I tried to sneak in on him to where he didn't know I was there, and I put a little bit of weight on him, and well, when he hit the throttle, that was the end of her.
Yeah.
So that was as soon as I saw that, I thought, okay, we can make this happen here.
Yeah, that was definitely a very nice move you did on that, getting him stuck. He was delivering some big shots. He was basically after the box cars. I mean, which you got to go after if you're going to try to win, you got to go after the cars you think are the best, and you would pick the box cars. So
all five of them.
Yeah, all five of them. He was doing a nice job, no doubt.
Yeah, it was interesting. I mean, that was my first Imperial I've ever built, I ever ran. they're interesting cars. They really are. They're a lot of work, and they test your patience. But I'll tell you, I'm pretty impressed with the results on it. That's for sure.
Oh yeah, definitely tough on both ends.
Yeah, for sure.
Is this car going to be something that you run again, or is it for sale and moving on down the line?
Well, I don't know. I don't know what the future holds here. I was just talking with Casey Smith from Smith Metalworks on the way up, and he really he does a really good job coaching me, in directions and just kind of keeping me as informed as I can be, and he kind of showed me the way to a possible championship with this point series.
Yep.
And I just, I don't know what that means right yet, but there's that series really comes through Pennsylvania pretty hard.
Yes, it does.
And you guys are old school dirt guys. Anytime you take the lead early on in a point series, it makes it a lot easier to hold on to.
That is
Sure
true.
You don't have to climb that mountain.
Yeah.
But it's long summer to go here and a lot of options. But I don't believe any of the dates on that series allow Imperials, with the exception I think River City Rampage is on it. I could be wrong, but I don't. I think I'm a little far gone for that derby. They'd about freak if I drove in with this car.
Yeah, she's built a little bit.
Yeah, it's a good one for sure.
Have you started working on your what is it, Keystone Nationals car? Have you
how about that? I actually get to run the Keystone Nationals this year. That's come true for sure. I mean, we started that derby when I was 18 years old, I think, and that's unbelievable. And now that the Iron City promotion guys have it, I can only imagine the level that they're going to be able to take this to.
Absolutely.
The whole crew is so professional, and they're really good at what they do, and I just look for big things out of this derby. I know a lot of guys are coming, and I know all of my original drivers are planning on running that show. So
yeah, I think it's going to be huge.
Yes.
I have a pretty good idea which car I'm running, and I think it's time to pull her in here pretty quick because this build's not a joke. It's going to take some time.
Oh, yeah.
Is that round back going to be black too?
Yeah, we don't. I don't know what shape the posts are going to be, but we'll see. But yeah, I don't think it's worth running if it's not black.
Right on.
Absolutely.
Cool.
I mean, black adds like 10 or 15, toughness points on any car. Let's be honest.
Hands down.
Yeah, I think so. That's you gotta. I think a lot of, to be honest with you, in any sport, a lot of your momentum is gained just by your appearance.
Absolutely.
And, we see that, with wrestling and football at the high school level. You got a big appearance, and you got a heck of a record. Well, you're already won half the deal.
Absolutely. I agree completely.
You're speaking your language.
Absolutely. Without a doubt.
Well, Bo, man, keep us posted as the builds go. We're going to get Mark Elliott on here in a few minutes as well to talk a little bit about that. In terms of the point stuff, I just checked it. It was the Riverside Riots. It's not River City Rampage. We made that mistake before.
Okay.
That's the event that's in Proctorville, Ohio, which is actually closer to you than the River City Rampage would be.
Yeah, it just keeps making it easier and easier, doesn't it?
Sure seems appealing.
No, honestly, I mean, if I were to do something like that, I mean, I really do have the best partners in the business backing me. I mean, Casey and Chance with Smith Metalworks, these guys, I was fortunate enough for them to take me on, and really, they really did. I mean, between them and Brent Johnson with Redline Derby engines, I mean, we got Davey Chapman and Bill Hurlbrink building transmissions for us. There is not a thing out of that we cannot build or put together throughout this little family we got going on, and it's just the results are starting to show, and it's really exciting. It's like I woke up and I can't believe we're in this position here. It's fun for sure, and I can't wait to see what the future holds.
Now, do you have, if you got to build 2 or 3 or 4 more cars, you got some sitting around, or you're gonna have to make some calls and haul some stuff in?
I think we're locked for the season if I really wanted to be. But
Cool.
Leading into this, I was thinking about letting some of them go, but now it's I don't know. We'll see. That deal, that marquee. I don't know what promoters are listening, but I'll tell you what. Just leaving, on this 17-hour ride home, it really makes you think. Well, how many of these promoter shows can you hit?
Yeah.
Because at the end of this, that prize is pretty serious.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's a good prize.
That's good money.
Yeah. So that's hey, if the Derby world really needed this, it's a good shot in the arm of professionalism, and I can't think of a better guy to head it up than Elliott, because I'm telling you, he's got what it takes to make this happen, and it's just impressive. Good things to come for all of Demolition Derby in 2020.
For sure.
Well, we'll be sitting side by side with him, keeping track of it, because we're going to be doing some updates throughout the season for all 30 dates of that Unified Point Series, and hopefully we keep seeing Bo Lockwood's name at the top of the list.
Yeah. If we can put Redline and Smith Metalworks up front, I think we'll accomplish our goal.
Perfect, man. Always good to talk to you. It's great to see you. Thanks a lot for coming on the show again, and of course, man, congratulations on the win.
All right, guys, I appreciate it. Thanks for having me on.
Travel safe. We'll see you.
All right, buddy.
Bye now. There it goes. A very excited Bo Lockwood, inspired even, if I may say.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine if he decides?
He's tough to beat.
It's going to change. It's going to be a game changer.
Yeah, you can say whatever you want, sandbag or whatever, but if he keeps taking home the checkered flags and the big checks, I don't think name calling is going to bother him at all. So, real quick, I don't know if I told you or not, but at the show I met Megan Siopa, which is Mark's lovely wife, and she told me how much she enjoys our show, and it's one of her favorite things to listen to.
Huh.
Yeah, it's not true. She isn't a huge fan. Mark sits on the phone and listens on the couch and interrupts her TV. So,
hey, Mark.
But I would love to say hi to Megan, and I hope things are good, because I think her and Mark are still in Florida. If, her and Mark happen to be watching.
I was going to say, we got a fan. Well, Mark Elliott here to help wrap up where things are at. We've updated the points, and there's a multi-way tie for first, which isn't a surprise at this point. We figured that kind of stuff was going to happen. Mm-hmm. Added a couple of dates for this year as well. Added events in, and I just scrolled away from it. I apologize. Should have been on this a little bit better. Portland, Indiana, and Hamilton, Ohio. So Mark Elliott now up to 30 events. Schedule is closed. 2 events in the book. Only 28 to go. Very NASCAR. And,
that's it. He'll be done for
the response continuing to grow, man. How are things going?
Things are going fantastic. And before we get too deep into this, I want to point out that I said last time we talked, I couldn't wait to see you guys and catch up, and I guess you could call a handshake and hey, catching up. But, he is so busy, and I could never possibly take enough time to talk to all the people I want to, but it was great at least getting to see you guys in person just for a brief few.
Yeah, we were all busy that night, that's for sure.
There was plenty to get to, for sure that we didn't. However, at this point, Brad Tussey, Andy Willis, Jordan Shepard, Kyle Poor, Luke Orland, Michael Kelly, Steven Sickles, Travis Pennick, Bo Lockwood, Jeremy Hein, Kane Johnson, Jeremy Hein and Kane Johnson in the 10-way tie for first in the current point standings, and of course with 28 events to go, that's going to change. But all these guys on their drives home, now we've heard Jeremy Hein and Bo Lockwood both talking about maybe venturing out. They're coming close enough to home where it's kind of worth it to try it. That's better than you were hoping for. I would think you hoped that it would generate attention, and man, it's done so.
Yeah, I wish you'd see the look and smile on my face, just because it's so rewarding, show 2, and it's like I'm so thankful of how it's gone so far, and I want to keep pushing. And out of those names that you mentioned, in addition to you mentioning that there's really no surprise about the tie right now. Pinnock, Jeremy Riley, Steven Sickles, off the top of my head, are all signed up for the Bluegrass Bash, the next show. So, I mean, there's an opportunity there for a defined points leader, an emerging, we'll call it.
Yeah, definitely.
Right. And that would put us at the 1/10th point.
Yeah. No doubt.
Yeah, that's a good way to look at it, and to already have the potential for that type of excitement at that point. Oh man, so exciting.
You had a couple things that you wanted to make sure that we hit on, and I want to double check and make sure that we're clearing everything up. So, as we said, a number of those guys are looking to run at Bluegrass, and there's going to be more shows down the line that a lot of these guys have, I guess for lack of a better term, they've declared for. Saying we're going to do this, which then would lead you to think they're following a good portion of that point series.
Absolutely.
But before we get too deep into the next point that you wanted to get to with the website, etc., double points clarification, that this is an important thing that has to get out there so everybody is aware of it. Why don't you take the lead on that and make sure everybody understands how that doesn't work is ultimately what it comes down to.
Yes. So I continue to share with people, and I continue to learn that folks are still under the understanding that there is a double points type reward system in the scoring, and so I'm just going to continue to put as much awareness out there like now as I did leading up, which is why they believe that, because I pushed it so hard so that they understood the expectation, and there is not an opportunity for double points. It is single points. It is 10 points for first, 8 points for second, and 6 points for third, and that are the only points that you can score in an event, and that's in any class. So every class scores the same amount of points. Now, there will be rewards for, one, the Mad Dog. I'm keeping track of every Mad Dog from every class, from every show. Jeffy's Fat Farm is already in on that. I have a local guy, my friend James Cooley, is in on it now, and I can't wait to share what he's working on. And there is today what I'm going to call the closer. I have fought tooth and nail to find the perfect term that I want this to be, but it is so crystal clear in my mind. It's a spawn from the original vision, and in the first two shows we have seen it 3 times, and one time that we've seen it this past Saturday was Jeremy Riley and Travis Pinnock. And when it came down to it, I mean, that place, I was bouncing off the rev limiter, and all I could see was people on the other side of the arena jumping up and down like I was. I'm jumping up and down on a seating bench with 10 German Baptists sitting on that, and they're I think they were jumping with me. I mean, it was, and when Jeremy stalled out and Travis backed up, that's when drivers sit there and say, wave the checkered flag, and they wait that timeout. And all I could see was Jeremy wave at him or something, and Travis he just took flight and never stopped until the checkered flag waved. I gave both of those guys a check for the closer, for that extreme finisher. I mean, that's the action that people are still talking about, that class today. That's all that some people are talking about, the mini cars, the compacts. Oh my gosh, the ending.
Yep. And it was a fun ending.
Oh,
that's the way it should end. When it comes down to 2, that's what you want. Those guys weren't worried about saving that car for later or letting the shot clock run out.
Nope.
They were going to end it, one way or the other.
Nope. Mark, I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
if a guy runs 2 classes at a show and he wins both classes, does he pick up the points from both of those, or does he only pick up from one win?
One class, and so even if he got a first in one class and a third in another, I'll take the highest points.
Okay.
A reason that I chose to do that, Brian, is because I did not want to give the county fair guys an advantage. Okay. I'm 100% sure that I can speak for the guys from my local area. They would run every class, and if 4 out of the 5 classes are a street stock type build, they've got a $500 or $600 investment.
Yeah.
You're going to go to Metal Mayhem, and Chad Markley's probably not going to have a car in every class. So right. I didn't want the national guys, the national type level of guys to be at a disadvantage on how many points that they could score at one show.
Yeah. Well, honestly, I was thinking of somebody like Steven Sickles. I mean, we've seen him win in everything.
Right.
So, I mean, he shows up to a show with 3 cars. There's a good chance he could walk out of there with 30 points.
Right.
I mean, really, really good chance. So, I mean, that's a good idea doing it that way, though. I like that.
And Steven, he didn't last, a few minutes in his car. At that point, he had already qualified his 10 points. He couldn't score any more points.
Yep, he got his 10.
I mean, some guys might leave it on the trailer at that point.
Right? Yeah. I never thought about that, but there's also prize money at the end of it too.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I knew he was in the compact
gamble,
but I didn't know what happened to him. I was with the way everything ended in the action. I forgot about Steven being in that during the heat of the battle.
He was like 2:30, almost 3 o'clock from us, with his back to us, and early on it just stopped.
Really?
Just quit.
Yeah, it's strange for that to happen. He's usually right there at the end, no matter what the class.
Yeah, like he took the key out or something. I mean, I'm just kidding. I don't think he did that, but I can promise you, I would consider it if it was me. I think he had some bad luck, but silver lining being now he's got a fresh car, that he can go score points somewhere else in it, and he is one of 2 people that qualified Saturday, and Jeremy Riley being the other that openly reached out to me and told me that they would like to. That's something that they're going to shoot for. So I told you last week when we talked that I kind of get a little emotionally invested, and when guys are open and that they tell me that there's something they're going to go after, it's a great feeling of support for me. So when I see those guys when that 4th place car goes out, I'm like, yes, they're in. They're rolling. It feels so good.
Yep.
Working on a website rollout as well?
Yeah. So, 100% honest, I have not even opened it up since day 2 of me purchasing it. I have reached out to George Hinen, and he is not only coaching me, but he is actually going to physically help me with some of that. I know that he's helped some other people and had some success. So I look forward to the gap between now and Bluegrass Bash website being a huge focus, and
the banner.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at my notes. The banner, because the banner, I don't have to do anything. Jacob Kruzman, he's going to do all the work on that. But what I do have to do is make sure that he gets all the logos, and rightfully deserving. I want everybody that is supporting this, and there's so many people. I want their name to be on there. I mean, one guy just wants me to write. Wally Schick, he says, if I send you some money, will you write old timer on there? I'm like, buddy, I'll write anything but the F-bomb on there. You want on there?
Nice, I like that.
So it's so cool to see a high level of the Demolition Derby world and vendors, like just some of the great vendors, but then to see a guy like that is just so into it, and they're rooting for it, and they might not even want to be a part of it, but they want to be a part of it in that way. So it's exciting, man.
And then T-shirts are forthcoming as well, and there's a special program out there for the involved partners and the vendors and other individuals helping make it happen, that they can get involved in the T-shirt as well.
Yes. Mark Klein Derby tees. They blew my socks off on my. So I'm sitting in the airport and they're working on it, and so they're working on it. It's like 5:30, 6 o'clock. So that tells you that they were putting in some hours anyway, and I so much appreciate that. But they were sending me pics, and you know how that goes. It starts out as one thing, and then you make a comment, or you go back, and 30 minutes later, it's just like, oh my gosh! And he's sending me stuff right up as they're saying, turn your phones off now. Like, I'm ready to get kicked off. Like, hang on, send me one more. I'm gonna get to see the final. But no, I'm mind blown. No other words but mind blown of their work and their ideas, and definitely their support. And he is still finalizing things, pricing and his contribution. So it'll be a certain amount per shirt, which is absolutely awesome, because then it puts it on, us as the Derby community. Don't think I'm going to get one for free. I told him, like, I'm probably going to buy like 10 for me and my family, because I love them so much. But whatever he gives, whatever it is, the fact that it's per shirt, and it's not just, I'm going to give this much. The Derby world can surprise us, and they prove that. We prove that time and time again. And I know the numbers that he shared with me that he's kind of seen in the past on a pre-sale, because he will do a pre-sale, and a pre-sale you can only do for, I think he said, a couple weeks, but whatever it is, he did share some numbers with me, and the numbers were much lower than my goal. So I'm hoping that the Derby world rocks his world and rocks my world, just making the series that much more attractive. And you did mention the special opportunity, and I think we're close enough to just put it out there. I have shared it with all of the promoters as an opportunity. I talked to Casey Smith and Frankie Guy Saturday, and they want in on this. So when the design started, I'm having this vision and thinking a unified series shirt that's got these 8 sponsors that we're going to have. It's going to be so awesome. We had 8 in less than 8 minutes. So it's like, now the shirt, you wouldn't even be able to tell what color it is with all the people that continue to support it. So Mark says, we can't do that. One, nobody will want it. They won't be able to read it. And 2, the cost, all those different colors, it'll be a nightmare. So he had the most brilliant idea. They just blow me away with how smart they are. But he said, why don't we keep it simple? Just keep it strictly about the series and the series only. And if a promoter, and let's just wipe off promoter and not say promoter, but if somebody wants to buy a bulk, whatever that number is, I don't know if bulk is 30, I don't know if it's 50, whatever that means. If they want to buy bulk, then we can put their logo on it. Now they're supporting, whatever they buy, that's going to go towards their level of sponsorship, whether it be bronze, gold, silver, platinum, or more. And now a guy, I can say this openly now because I know that they're interested. A guy like Smith Metalwork or guys like Hardcore, they can stamp their approval on it. And it doesn't have, 10 promoters on it that maybe they're not even friends with, or it's their business, and they can share it with their friends, their family. And, if they want to, they can sell them at their shows.
Right.
It's all about just spreading the love, and those 2 guys stepped up early, and so I'm so thankful for Derby Tees for what they're doing.
Yep.
So impressed with their genius, and I'm so thankful for guys like Casey and Frankie for immediately stepping up for that opportunity. I can't wait to hear the finalization and just share it with the community and let it go. And I envision just people buying them. They're sharp, they're nice, and anybody listening, if you buy one or you buy 10, that money, a percentage of that shirt is going directly to the driver. So you might not be a vendor, you might not be a promoter, or you might not be Wally Schick who just wants to write old timer on the banner, but you will be a piece of it by buying that one shirt. And if that doesn't stand and exemplify unified across the board, then nothing will.
Sure. I mean, it's an opportunity to something like Hardcore, right? They get their logo on the tour shirt. Mm-hmm. Well, now it's like the home track guys. They're going to want to make sure that the one that they get has the Hardcore logo on it, or they've got the Smith Metalworks logo on it. So it's going to be going to be a cool twist. You don't see a lot of that. You don't see the branded Metal Mayhem or Bash for Cash or Blizzard Bash T-shirt like you do at the Point Series, and it's because the Point Series is something unique. It's something unto itself. So very cool. I do like that. Please keep us posted as we go with the website, so we can get the placard done.
Sure.
Other than that, right now everybody can find the updates on your Facebook page, ME527 announcing. All the details are going to be there. Webpage forthcoming. I don't know when George is going to squeeze that in. He doesn't sleep much as it is, but but
graphics guys are after it.
But he's doing that, and we are off to after I shut the picture off. So after Top Dog's Bluegrass Bash, after that we do the Connersville Spring Show. That's Rouse Promotions event on April 11th. So we got some time off now until the 21st of March, and then we got another month off. But then from there, things start doubling up. We've got an event 25th and 26th of April with Derby Icons for Spring Explosion and then Urban Destruction, May 5th and May 9th, before we get about a 2-month reprieve. From the 9th, we go all the way until June the 20th for Destruction Motorsports Wayne County Fair in Richmond, Indiana. So the schedule taking shape, and we are trekking quickly towards a very busy summer schedule for the Unified Point Series. Mark, man, I appreciate you coming on the show. Is there anything else you wanted to mention?
No, man. I just always like to leave with thank you guys.
We appreciate it.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty blanket statement right there. There's a lot of people making this thing happen, and just as simple as that thank you, we know how much it means to you. We're happy to help you out any way we can.
Awesome. I'll talk to you guys soon.
That is for sure, because in a couple weeks you're going to have to be on to recap the Top Dogs show from Bluegrass Bash.
Yeah, and maybe we'll talk about somebody else, from that scoring system that somehow figures out a way to sneak their way because that show's locked down. It's full. You know what I mean? There's no opportunities. If you're not in there, you're not in there unless you figure out a way. So I always say if you find a wall, you got to find a crack somewhere.
That's right. Absolutely. Start buying other people's entries. Buy your way. Where are you now? Are you back home? Are you back home
Chris,
now?
What did you say? I'm sorry.
Are you back home now?
Yeah. I went to work today. Let's see. I started off today. I forgot my belt, and I realized that I left my glasses in my rental car, so I was blind all day. And then somebody got hurt at work, and I had to spend half a day in the emergency room working on workman's comp stuff. So right back to the grind, baby.
Man, you do too much.
Yeah, busy.
Hopefully Tuesday goes better for you, man. I appreciate you coming on the show. We'll talk soon, okay?
Okie doke. All right. See you, Chris. See you, Brian.
Have a good one.
See you, Mark. There goes Mark Elliott. Man, half the day doing workman's comp paperwork. That
doesn't sound fun.
that sounds miserable. Absolutely miserable. Yeah. Forgetting stuff in the rental car, it's a thing.
Yeah, thank God for Chris Marquardt, because he ran back and got my phone out of the rental car. We got to where we had to get our tickets, and I went, doggone it, where's my cell phone? Chris said, well, we'll just go back to the rental car. And
Well, we had time to kill.
Yeah, we did.
Thankfully, Tampa's a 24-hour airport. We didn't have to sleep anywhere necessarily before we could get through TSA. Because otherwise, you see the one line, it would have been rough.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Everything went pretty smooth. The
Except
young lady,
some of the landings we had.
no, we're not doing that. The lady who was working the line for Hertz was convinced I was breaking into the car.
Was she?
Well, because first I was in the front seat, then I was in the back seat, and I was ripping stuff apart.
Yeah.
I had my phone out. I was rummaging through the trash. I went back. I checked the trunk. I was up into the hood and everything. And she's like, "What are you doing? What are you looking for?" I'm like, "Nothing. It's fine." Not even thinking, like, I don't, you got 60 cars to check in. You don't need to come and paw through this thing with me. And then I called it. Because you said that you thought maybe the ringer was on, so I called it, and I'm standing by the trash can, and I can hear this faint noise, and I'm following. I can't find it for anything. The screen was lighting up, and there was this glow coming out of the crack. It was like looking into the Ark of the Covenant. There it was, right there.
Nice.
So
I
glad
appreciate
we found
it.
it.
Chris Marquardt saves me again.
I was sick to my stomach. I'm like, oh God, losing your phone is the worst.
Yeah, it's not a good thing.
If you didn't have your phone, we would have never been able to get to Mo Jackson's Speed Academy.
Yeah, that is very true. Which is only like 60 yards from the airport. But
yeah, if we turned right down Buell Road, we would have been
we were there even half
right
the time. Yeah, it was cool. It's a busy day. I actually took a little bit of a nap before I watched the Super Bowl. But all in all, man.
I had a headache.
What's that?
I had the worst headache when I got home. It's right here. And I don't know if it was because of the forced recycled breath that was shoved down your face when you're on an airplane all day, or if it was just not drinking enough water when we were down in Florida or what. But man,
that could be it. We didn't hydrate properly, that's for sure.
My head was hurting. And then, no, settle yourselves down. It's not a drinking joke. We did not drink enough water nearly.
Yeah,
and
we
could have put bottles outside and filled it with the rain that we were getting.
Yeah,
Brian made a joke that it was going to be a hurricane, and I said it's not hurricane season. He goes, "This is Crash Course traveling to Florida."
Yeah, exactly. We have had our equipment dropped out of, by ours, I mean Chris's equipment dropped out of the plane going to Minnesota once. So.
The Veloster.
And then tried the Veloster.
How exciting was the Veloster?
Yeah, if anybody knows me, has seen me in public, I'm not the smallest individual, and we were in a Veloster. Google that sucker and see what it looks like. And the best part was when we're driving to the airport, or driving from the airport to the hotel, and we see deer standing alongside the interstate, and I'm like, this is not a good thing. No. But it all worked out. Incredible weekend. I feel very fortunate, very happy that we were included.
Yes.
Had a lot of fun working with everybody again. A lot of fun being on there.
From everybody involved.
Yeah.
With Todd
absolutely.
Basically saying this has to happen, and then seeing Josh and Ben and sharing the mics with them, and with Skinny and Bill.
And in case anybody wonders, Ben was on the show early, and by the end of the show, he had no voice left. Josh and Chris both tried to get him on, and he's like, I said, I got
nothing left.
Yeah, cracked out or croaked out the no, I can't, my voice, and he had completely lost his voice. He was also obviously doing the inspection and talking with the guys throughout the day. So, but no, it was great. Always good to feel wanted, and we definitely were made to feel wanted there. So, USADerbyTix.com
has the on demand in the coming days. If it's not up already, we ran into Johnny and Bill in the airport on the way home. They were wondering why we were running back towards the rental cars. So we politely explained it to them, and they got a good laugh out of it. And hopefully everybody made it home safe. If you are still traveling, be good. Jason Brzezinski was on his way home and had a flat tire in the trailer, but he's almost there. And family's already home, but they're sick again, or still, whichever way you want to look at it.
Do you think he lifted the trailer up with his right hand or his left hand to change the tire? Put it back on. Which, he doesn't use jacks.
I think he's right-handed.
Right-handed, so probably left it up and then. Okay,
I don't know if he lifted it. That's rough to do. He probably just put his hand on it and pushed it sideways. You don't have to lift it all the way up. Let's not get crazy.
That's true.
Right?
That's true. But great weekend, great show.
Very much so.
I think we're done.
I think so. Number 307 in the books. We certainly appreciate all the support and great time, great invitation. We greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. That is going to do it for this one from the North Park building at Academy Square. Thank you so much. We'll see you all. Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at SmashItDerby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, hosts of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at StirringDirtRacing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.